of the most interesting and most exciting people movers, or MPVs, currently on the market, in my opinion. Now hear me out, I know that's a big claim, but I'm talking in terms of the true meaning of those words. So interesting as in, you want to know more about it. What's this brand? What's it got in there? It's got a lot of features. The price is pretty low for what it is, but then it's also exciting because it produces 274 kilowatts from its plug-in hybrid powertrain. It's the only plug-in hybrid MPV people mover currently on sale. It definitely looks pretty weird in my opinion. Like, look at that huge front grille. It's ghastly, I think is the word. It definitely stands out on the road though, and you've got these kind of 7-shaped headlights. Pretty conventional van-like silhouette from the side, although very low skirting, and it's highlighted by silver trimming, which just makes it look a bit sporty. And around the back, very slab, squared off theme going with a low diffuser area. Lots of chrome and shadow chrome trimmings as well, including for the full width taillight at the back. It rides on a set of 18-inch alloy wheels. Actually look a little bit too small, although they do have big sidewalls, so that should take some of the impacts and bumps on the road. And they're wrapped in 225/60 Michelin e-Premicy tyres. It is good to see that it's got proper Michelin tyres on there, but I think they are a little bit too narrow. 225s for something with 274 kilowatts and it's front wheel drive as well. So yeah, under the bonnet you've got a 2-litre turbo petrol 4-cylinder paired up with an electric motor assist system, feeding from a 25.6 kilowatt hour battery, combining to produce 274 kilowatts and 630 Newton meters. That's sent through a kind of 2-speed CVT transmission. With a full charge, you've got an electric range of 106 kilometers according to the official cycle. GAC or GAC claims 0 to 100 in 8.8 seconds. Now that might seem a little bit slow for something with that much power, but this is quite heavy, 2.4 tons or just over. It's still one of the quickest MPVs in its class though. The only sort of MPV or people mover that's quicker really that I can think of is the Zeekr 009, but that's a 600 horsepower fully electric all-wheel drive package. This is also much cheaper. Prices start from around $77,000. For the technology you're getting, and when you check out the interior, I think it's a bit of a bargain. Now what I like about this is it does feel genuinely premium. Like you've got this kind of suede sections on the seats, real leather seats as well, including for the dashboard, exposed stitching. It actually feels quite high in quality. And you've got this little fidget spinner for the gear shifter. But yeah, all of this, I mean, piano black can get annoying, but it all feels and looks and even smells quite luxurious, especially for this price. It's really comfortable as well. You've got fully electric seats, reach and rake adjustment for the steering column, so it's easy to find a natural driving position, which is not common. There's always some weird quirks with these new brand vehicles that I find, and sometimes the driving position is one of them. You know, you can't pull the steering wheel out enough or it sits at a weird angle. This is not like that. It's actually quite conventional and it seems like a luxury vehicle. There's no sort of fakeness to it. I mean, you know, is that real crystal or a real diamond? Not really, but it's got a certain touch to it that helps it stand out. And up on the dash here, we've got this kind of cascading touchscreen system. I'm not a huge fan of it, mainly because you've got this home button here, but if you go into climate control, there's no way to sort of get out of it. You've got to just wait until you're finished and then it will pop back to the main menu. I find that a little bit annoying. I'd rather have some physical controls, at least for the climate controls, just down here on a separate panel. That would be great. But you do have a home button there once you're in the kind of default display, and an app window here as well, so all your different things you can play around with, and a vehicle settings button. So here you can jump to all your driving modes. It's got a sport mode. You've got a force charge, so if you want to charge the battery, I'm currently on 13 kilometers or 11%. So if you wanted to just charge the battery up to 80% maximum, you can do that. It will obviously chew into the petrol motor more. And then you've got your safety settings just there. So they're pretty easy to jump to and then get back to the main page. Then for the driver, you've got a nice instrument cluster. I like the design of that. It's just got the main information right in the middle there. And you can toggle through different display modes for that. I've got the tire pressures there and the radio station on the right hand side. I'm not a huge fan of screens in vehicles in general, but I think these are not too bad. Apart from the main screen, it'd just be better if it had some physical controls. Even like a home button or a climate control panel would definitely be a lot better in my opinion. You do have auto and window demister there readily available, so you don't have to dive into the screen. Then you've got your drive mode toggle down here, and it's easy to open the fuel cap and the electric charging cap just with buttons down there. I know that sounds like pretty basic, but some vehicles have got it all poured into the screen, and the first time you use them, you're digging around just trying to find the basic stuff. So it is good that they still have, you know, even boot release there rather than embedding it into, well, they could have embedded it into this system. So you've got all your sunroof opening and closing, sliding side doors and all of that. Speaking of which, you've got electronic doors to get in the back, and look at this interior. You've got little mobile phone or little tablet things for various controls, proper seats in the back. These are actually really comfortable, and you've got seat massage functions as well, so you can just sit back and relax. Like, this is a proper, you know, VIP style of people mover. Even the ceiling, the roof trimming there, it's this nice Alcantara suede, and you've got full climate controls up there. It genuinely feels really nice. Like, it doesn't feel like it's cutting any corners really, at least on the surface, and you know, touching and feeling all of this stuff in here, it does feel like a luxury product. And up at the back, electronic tailgate, of course. It's pretty slow. It's got a lot of beeps and bongs and so on, as they do these days. You've got the third row, folding third row. You don't have heaps of space left over when you do fold that third row up, but they've got cup holders, USB ports, and even speakers back here. And under the boot floor, you've got a little bit more storage, including a tyre inflating and fixing machine. Yeah, I think it's actually really cool. Now, obviously, the biggest hurdle is the brand. GAC hasn't been around in Australia for very long. Do you trust it? Well, I think with this, compared with other new age brands, like other Chinese brands, with this, at least you're getting a genuine product. Like, it feels and looks genuine. It's not trying to cut corners, or it doesn't seem like it. Even the Michelin tires, the genuine leather inside, that's all telling me that it's a genuine product. So yes, it definitely is a risk when you're buying into a new brand, but some of the other new brands, you know, you're getting a pretty average product, if that makes sense. So you're getting average product from a brand that may not be around for, you know, as long as you want it to be. Whereas at least with this, you're getting a genuine product. All right, let's take it for a drive before I get blown away. To kick off, I've just got it in eco mode, and I've got the powertrain in the intelligent electric hybrid. So this will sort it all out. It's the default automatic mode, in other words. If the battery level drops right down, like it is now, it's at 9%, you'll hear the petrol engine kick in more often than if the battery is at a higher level. But most of the time, you are driving pretty much an electric vehicle. It does feel like an electric vehicle. You do have that CVT gearbox as well, which is, you know, kind of like electric vehicles in that it doesn't have gears and doesn't have that sort of traditional progression feeling of stepped gears. It just sort of zooms off. But yeah, since I've got the battery right down, it is I can hear the petrol engine more than I did when it was when the battery was full. Definitely got good response though, like an electric vehicle. You can hear the petrol engine sort of cut in halfway through your acceleration, if that makes sense, like most plug-in hybrids. I'm not a huge fan of that. I'd rather have a proper stepped transmission, just so you got that kind of natural feel with an engine revving at the same time. But at least you do have good performance and good response this way. In terms of the handling, look, it's kind of a mixed bag, because sometimes it feels nice. The ride quality is definitely really good over this bumpy and rippled road, soaking up the imperfections quite nicely and not shaking me around at all either. And then around corners, yes, some corners, like long sweeping bends, it seems to be okay at certain speeds, but then when you push it a little bit more, or, you know, just mildly change the direction, it sort of starts to feel a bit cumbersome. And those tires, I really think they need wider tires on there, because these are just too narrow for this much power and weight. I also think it would feel a little bit more stable with, sorry, there's some sticks on the road, if you're wondering why I'm going all over the place. I think with wider tyres, it'll actually feel more stable. I mean, it doesn't feel unstable, but I just think it would just give it extra reassurance. So you've got a comfort mode as well, which is sharpens up the throttle response a little bit. Yeah, it definitely feels a bit more punchy. That's kind of the default mode I would choose. And then you've also got the sport mode. So this, yeah, definitely starts to feel more responsive and more active. As you probably heard then, the tyres spinning away. Yeah, definitely could do with wider tyres in my opinion. I mean, these are eco style of Michelin tyres as well. It's not like they're Pilot Sports or anything, which, you know, you don't expect this type of vehicle to have those, but with this much power and this much weight, I just think it needs something a bit better. Yeah, like that's, I mean, it's pretty fun for a driving enthusiast, but for the typical buyer in this market segment, they probably want something with a bit more stability. I mean, if you're spending a lot of the time in the city, you know, doing airport runs, or if you're just carting the family around, then none of this is going to matter. Just when you encounter a road like this, yeah, it doesn't feel as good as it should, kind of thing, even for this class. Like the Kia Carnival, that feels nice down here. You can take it for a drive, enjoy yourself. It doesn't feel out of its depth, whereas this does start to feel a bit out of its depth in terms of getting that power down. But as I said, the ride quality and the suspension, I think, is a good tune, especially for this type of vehicle and for its weight. So what do I think? Should you buy one? Aside from the GAC brand being quite new, so we don't know anything about reliability and warranty and all that sort of thing, which is a risk, I think you're getting a lot for your money. If you look at any of the competitors for this price range, you know, you need to be spending Mercedes-Benz money to get this kind of attention to detail, or the Lexus MPV as well. $77,000, you're getting a pretty high-spec Kia Carnival, but it doesn't come with all the stuff that this does. And you've got the bonus of this being a plug-in hybrid. So with 100 kilometers range, roughly, you could drive this to work and back and not use any fuel at all, which is a real bonus, and it really helps it stand out in its class. The driving dynamics could be improved. I think just with better tyres, that would actually change a lot. But, you know, most people are not going to be tackling mountain roads like I was and expecting a good handling package. I mean, it is pretty good on the highways and so on. Big sweeping bends, as I said. It does feel quite planted. It's got decent suspension. So it's fine. It's just when you go down a twisty road and try to change the direction pretty quickly, it starts to, yeah, it goes a bit pear-shaped. But overall, look, I would definitely consider one of these if I was in the market for something like this. You're getting a bargain for starters. I probably just wouldn't keep it for that long, like 2 or 3 years, and then maybe sell it off. You're probably not going to get good resale value for this, because again, we just don't know about the history of the brand. It doesn't have much history in Australia specifically, so we just don't know. And that doesn't usually, you know, bode well for resale value. Anyway, let's go and see what it's like with the performance test. I'll have the battery a bit higher than this, so we can just get the maximum out of it.